Hey everyone, this is my new sound pack, Fantom Rush. The name is self-explanatory. It's a Rush sound pack for the Roland Fantom family of keyboards. But it's not just a Rush sound pack, it's the Rush sound pack. We have more than 110 sounds overall across 33 scenes. Those are the entirety of Moving Pictures, Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, Limelights, The Camera Eye, Witch Hunts, and Vital Signs. We have Closer to the Heart, The Spirit of Radio, Free Will, La Villa Strangiato, and Time Stands Still. That is a first page selection I made. Then we have 4 songs from Signals, Subdivisions, Analog Kid, Chemistry, and Losing It. In the second page, we begin with the older stuff. Farewell to Kings, Xanadu, The Trees, Circumstances, Jacob's Ladder, Natural Science. Then we come to the later 80s with Grace Under Pressure, Distant Early Warning, After Image, Red Sector A, In Between the Wheels. Then we have Power Windows with the Big Money, Manhattan Project, and Marathon. And we also have Dreamline and Animates by themselves, which are from the even later years, coming to a total of 33 scenes. Now, that's more than 110 sounds, and these are all Zen-Core. That's very important because this sound pack doesn't require any model expansions whatsoever, and it is compatible with Fantoms 6, 7, 8, and the EX upgraded ones, and Fantoms 06, 07, and 08. That's very important because I know how it is carrying a lot of stuff around, hauling a lot of gear around, and most Rush players are bass players who also play keyboards. So if you're having to haul around a Rickenbacker bass, jazz bass, SVT Pro amp, a keyboard stand, a set of MIDI pedals, microphone, mic stand, that's a lot of stuff, and that takes a huge toll in your back and in your mind. So the lightest possible keyboards that I recommend for you to use with this sound pack is the Roland Fantom 06, okay? It has a plastic casing, it's way lighter, it's a little smaller than this one, but the sounds won't be downgraded and you won't be restricted. Very fortunately, all Fantoms have MIDI ins and outs, so they are compatible with external MIDI controllers. In case you want to use, let's say, a second keyboard as a slave to the Fantom, you can. If you want to use a set of Crumar Mojo pedals or Roland PK5s or Studio Logic MIDI pedals, it's absolutely compatible. All you have to do is plug a 5-pin MIDI cable to the back of the Crumar Mojo pedal, let's say, and plug it here to the MIDI in of your Fantom. You just got to do some work specifying which sounds you want to be triggered by the pedals. Across Rush's career, the main keyboards Geddy used were the Oberheim family of polyphonic synthesizers, mainly the Oberheim H-Voice, the OBX and OBXA, the Mini Moog, which is a monophonic lead-oriented synthesizer, the Moog Taurus, which is a synth bass-oriented set of pedals, and the PPG Wave. That's that blue keyboard from the later 80s, which makes the sound from Grace Under Pressure and Power Windows very different than before. The Oberheim sound is best exemplified by YYZ and Subdivisions. The YYZ sound is a brassy kind of Oberheim. Subdivisions is a more standard polysynth. Losing It is a very similar sound, you know. Very Oberheim. The Mini Moog sound is best exemplified by the classic Tom Sawyer lead. With that gorgeous glide. And this lead is very similar to the Subdivisions lead. The Moog Taurus sounds is present in many different songs. Closer to the Heart, La Villa Strangiato, Closer to the Heart we have. This here is obviously not the Moog Taurus, it's a mallet sound. So this is the Taurus sound. Very similar to the sound from La Villa Strangiato here. And of course, it's present in many other songs. The PPG wave sound, I think, is best exemplified by this sound from Manhattan Project. But of course, all of these synths are very powerful. They have a wide variety of sounds. They're very versatile. Also very versatile is the Roland Fantom. So all of these sounds, Oberheim, Mini Moog, Moog Taurus, PPG, all of these sounds I made using just Zen-Core, which is the built-in native Roland Fantom sound engine. Now let me do a brief tutorial for those of you who aren't used to the Fantom. If you are thinking about getting a Fantom, or if you are new to the Roland Fantom. Where you're going to spend most of the time is here in scene select mode. This is our home page, let's say, where we have this classic 4x4 grid with all of our scenes. What is a scene? A scene is a collection of sounds that we can have. It can be just one sound, or it can be a collection of up to 16 sounds, okay? Now, the architecture here is we have a scene. Inside of the scene, we have 16 zones, and in each of the zones, you can have a tone. So an individual preset is called a tone. So what's the difference between tone and zone? Well, we have 16 zones here. Think of zones as like slots that you can occupy with tones. So what's the difference? When you go to, let's say, zone edit, you can edit stuff like octave shift or EQ, or offset. You can offset the cutoff of something. But when you are doing this kind of stuff, you aren't changing the individual presets. If you change the octave here, you aren't changing the hardwired octave of the presets that you saved. You are just changing the octave for this sound within this scene, within this context, okay? So scenes, zones, tones, all right? Scene select, that's the home page. Other than this, you're going to spend most time probably in zone view. That's where you see what's inside of each scene. This zone view button can be pressed again and again. Or you can use this display feature here to switch between 1, 4, 8, or 16 sounds. Okay. Most of the time I use this 4 zone view, and you can even scroll up or down to see which sounds you have inside. It's very visual. So in case you are wondering, what sounds do I have in La Villa Strangiato and where are they located? You go into zone view and you can see MGT Alex is to the left, which is this sound. Razor Brass, that's high lead, further to the right of the keyboard. This is very good. You can see the levels, the locations of the sounds. Very good. So scene select, zone view. You're going to spend a lot of time here, okay? Now, if you want to tweak an effect or something within a tone, you have menu effects edits and menu tone edits, okay? Regarding the effects, very quick, to understand the architecture of effects within the Fantom, you have 4 layers of effects. The first layer is MFX or multi-effects. That's one effect specified for each zone, for each sound. Layer number 2 is IFX or insert effects. Those are 2 effects that you can have which are assignable for all of the sounds in a scene. So these are set per scene. This is 1 per zone. These are 2 per scene. But you can send or not send a specific zone to these sounds. Okay, so you can set, let's say, a delay, and then you can send just sounds number 2 and 4 to the delay, and the other ones you don't send. Okay, if you press this main here, you can route a sound to main, which skips, bypasses the IFX, or send to IFX 1 and 2, or just IFX 2. That's the second layer of effects. Then we have a dedicated chorus and reverb, and we have master effects, but this I personally don't use ever because it's one effects that you can set for the entire keyboard, for all scenes. I want my effects to be localized per scene, so I don't use master effects. But anyway, that's the way that it works. You have edit buttons. I don't want to go too deep because this is not a Roland Fantom tutorial, but I also want to show zone edits. Okay, so you have scenes. Within a scene, you have zones, and tones are occupying the zones, and you can specify regions, that kind of stuff. But you have that zone edits menu. This has a lot of tabs. Let's say you want to change the octave of a sound. You go to zone edit, and there's this pitch tab. And here in the corner, you have octave shift, where you can raise or lower the octave of a sound that is here or there. That's how I have very bright sounds in the left part of my keyboard, such as in YYZ, right? This is the first octave of a 61 keys keyboard. If I go into menu and zone edits, you're gonna see that it is raised by 2 octaves, okay? If you plan on using a set of MIDI pedals, like the Cromar module pedals or PK5s, the way that you think of this, the way that you look at what's assigned is here in this level/pan tab. You have RX channel. RX channel, that's the MIDI channel that the external MIDI controller is assigned to each of these sounds. By default, zone number 1, RX channel 1, 2, 3, 4. But you also have a switch. So if you don't want anything to be controlled by the pedal, you can just disable all of these, right? But I think by default, all MIDI pedals are set to MIDI channel number 1. So they are probably going to control the first sound here. If you want, let's say, sound number 5 to be controlled by your pedal, what you have to do is change this to number 1, or change the MIDI specification of your pedal to be to MIDI channel number 5. But I think that's not optimal. You should just leave it to channel number 1, okay? And then just do this whenever you want to do it. Okay, if you want to specify more sounds, what you have to do is set, let's say, the first 3 sounds to zone number 1. Like in, let's say, subdivisions, we have this sound here. And this is a stack of 3 different sounds. What you would do is go menu, zone edits, level pan tab, and then you would set all of these to RX channel number 1. Okay, now that's going to be controlled by your MIDI pedal. If it's in the wrong octave, all you have to do is click pitch and then fix the pitch for your pedal. All right? Now there's one last thing regarding this mini tutorial of the Fantom, which is the keyboard switch groups. Within one scene, you have not just a selection of sounds, you have a few different selection of sounds, such as camera eye. The first sound is by itself. It's just the step or the sequence. If I hit pad number 2, now we have another 2 sounds. That's the brassy sound and the chorus in the left here. So I'm still holding the sequence with my sustain pedal, but the sustain pedal is not affecting these other 2 sounds. So those are 2 things in one. Keyboard switch groups, but very quick. If you go into zone edits, you also have the ability to restrict what the mod wheel and bend wheel or the sustain pedals are affecting. So you have, let's say, pedal control. And hold is the sustain pedal. You don't want the sustain pedal to control sound number 2. You just disable it here, okay? You don't want a specific sound to be affected by the mod wheel. You go into, where is it? Bend control. Yes, bend control. We have pitch bend and modulation. Modulation, that's the mod wheel. So you can just turn this off, okay? If you're in a scene and you want to specify just this or that sound, this is very frequent, you know. Sometimes you want just this sound to be sustained with a pedal. We don't want this other sound to be sustained. So the way to do that is go menu, zone edit, and browse through these tabs here, okay? Now back to keyboard switch groups. Within the camera eye, we have keyboard switch group number 1, just the sequence. Number 2 is the brassy sound with the chorus. Group number 3 is, that's the brassy sound going wow, wow. But we also have 2 sequences at the same time here. One is just going wah 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 wah, and the other is going dum dum da da dum dum da da dum dum da da. Right? So these are three different keyboard switch groups within the same scene. What are keyboard switch groups? Different groups of sounds within one same scene. How do you get to this keyboard switch group thing? Where, well, you have pads where? Well, you have pads in the Fantom, and they are fantastic. I wish we could specify a function per pad, but unfortunately that's not doable. I wish we could change the colors of the pads, but unfortunately that's not doable. But if you hit pad mode, which is a dedicated button that you have here, we have all these different pad modes. I use 90% of the time keyboard switch groups. That's pad mode number 7. This turns our pads green, and if you want to edit which pads enable which sounds, you hit shift pad mode. This is the keyboard switch group select screen or edit screen. Now here you can see pad number 1 enables just sound number 1. Pad number 2 enables sounds number 2 and 3. Pad number 3 enables sounds 2, 4, 5, and 8. Okay? So this is very versatile. So get used to keyboard switch groups. Yeah, that's it. What else is there to talk about? Now regarding assignments. There are a few things for you to control using the bend wheel, mod wheel, the switches, aftertouch, but I try to keep everything as clean as possible. You know, when I was kind of a beginner, I tended to, I want to assign everything to a pad, everything to a knob, everything to a fader. So all of my 8 faders are controlling something. But with time, you want things more clean, and the less moving parts, the better. If you play live, you know exactly what I mean. If you have stuff which is very sensitive, you know, if somebody just stumbles in your pedal and it moves one knob around, it messes up your sound. So you don't want 8 different things assigned to the knobs and to the faders, okay? Most of the time you want as little as possible. So aftertouch is a parameter where you have the ability to just play harder in a key and trigger something. This is only present in the Fantoms 6, 7, and 8. It's not present in the Fantoms 06 and 07 and 08, okay? But if you're gonna use the 6, 7, or 8, or let's say an external keyboard, here I have my Arturia key lab, right? This is my key lab. This keyboard does have aftertouch. If you're using a Fantom 06, which doesn't have aftertouch in its keyboard, but you have an external MIDI controller controlling the Fantom, and this one has aftertouch, it is going to read. Okay, so you can use a Fantom 06, use an external keyboard, and if it has aftertouch, you are going to get aftertouch. Anyway, I'm only saying this because for the Moog sounds, I like having vibrato on aftertouch whenever possible. You know, my favorite Moog sound from this sound pack is the Jacob's Ladder solo. You see that I'm triggering vibrato without using the mod wheel. You can use the mod wheel or just press harder. Okay, this is for most Moogs, if not all, here in this sound pack. Now, regarding the mod wheel and bend wheel, you are going to have to figure this out. I'm not going to show all sounds here, but namely I'm going to show Xanadu 81, which is the live version. We begin with this sound here. This is a collection of 3 sounds at the same time. It's the Taurus pedal, this growly bass, you know, we have this brighter sound, which is phased, and we have kind of a hidden sound, which is that sound that Geddy does, the tweaking when he plays live, right? So bend is controlling the octave of the OB phased sound, this sound here. That's because you hear the sound in one octave and then it lowers down 1 or 2 octaves. Modulation wheel is controlling the bend, I think that's 3 or 2 octaves of this hidden Moog sound. This is pitch being modulated. Right? So we have one sound being controlled by bend, another sound being controlled by mod wheel. One last thing regarding assignments is subdivisions. We have switches in the Fantom, S1 and S2 and S3. I don't remember if S3 is present in the OS, the Fantom OS, but S1, S2. These are just buttons that we can assign to stuff. I assigned here to subdivisions S2 to trigger the second vibrato of this subdivision sound. This is a very chorusy sound and it has 2 different choruses. If you press S2, you're going to disable the second chorus. So this is 2 choruses at the same time. Only 1 chorus. It's a cleaner sound, you know. So we have a few things which are assigned to mod wheel, a few things which are assigned to bend wheel. I think this is probably the only thing that is assigned to the switch. And we have vibrato on the leads, on the Moog leads, on aftertouch, okay? I try to keep everything as clean as possible. Now, if you ask, do you have anything assigned to the faders or the knobs? No, I don't. I particularly don't like using faders and knobs for changing sounds, okay, while I'm performing. The last part of the Fantom tutorial is we have the faders and the knobs, and by default, it's set to pan/level. That is, the knobs control the pan, so if you move the first knob to the left, you are changing the first sound, you are pushing it to the left or to the right, you know. And the faders are volume. But you also have assign 1 and assign 2 buttons. So if you choose assign 1, you are changing the function of all pads, all knobs and all faders. Now if I move the first knob here, it's going to show off because I don't have anything assigned. If I move the first fader, it shows off because I don't have anything assigned. If you want to assign something to be controlled by a fader, of course, first you come to assign, but then you hit shift and move that fader. That's going to bring you to this scene edit screen where you can assign something to slider 1. Okay, well, let's say you want to assign slider 1 to be reverb or chorus, you know, or portamento or whatever. You can choose, let's say, CC50, and then from within the tone, you can come down here to the matrix control and choose CC50 to do what? Destination, that's going to be, I don't know, filter depth or cross mod or pan LFO, you know. So you can assign these things, but I don't use faders or knobs assigned. I just stick to pan level, okay? The less moving parts, the better, trust me. Okay, so I think that's all the information that I needed to share in this video. If you need help importing the sound pack into your Fantom, there's gonna be a separate video here. Thank you for watching. See you.